Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so I saw this and I just had to. I just had to make a video about this because this is interesting to me. Xavier McKinney looks like he pulled a little bit of wool, from over our eyes. That's what it looked like Xavier McKinney did because after about week 2 or 3 last year, said that this Joe Judge, I'm not sure if I can blame Jason Garrett for the way that this offense looks. I think this is Joe Judge doing this. And as we went along, we started to see more and more. Jason Garrett gets fired. Freddie Kitchens take over. The offense still stinks. Daniel Jones goes down. The quarterback sneaks. All that and all that. We start to see that this conservative, lack of the ability to take shots down the field, lack of the ability and willingness to be aggressive on offense, never going forward on fourth down at the edge of field goal range. We started to see a lot of this stuff come to fruition, and it looks like a lot of truth is in that statement because Xavier McKinney had an interview. I can't remember with what specific place because it's been reposted everywhere. I saw the original one, but it's been reposted pretty much everywhere. But Xavier McKinney talked about that coaching staff, and guess who Joe Judge's right-hand man was? Patrick Graham. Guess who Brian Dable wanted to bring back this year? Patrick Graham. He was the number one guy. Now, is that a Brian Dable decision? Because they did have experience together. Or is that a John Mara decision? I don't know. But Brian Dable definitely wanted to bring back Patrick Graham. Now, I'm not sure if when Xavier McKinney, and I'll get to what he said in a couple of seconds because I keep on kind of promoting it up. But I'm not sure if this was a mark on Patrick Graham or if this is just a simple mark on Joe Judge because he was the guy heading the ship. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit so I can get Xavier McKinney's exact words because we don't want to misquote players and put out false narratives about players on YouTube channels. That's not what we do over here. So he said, I hate losing. I refuse to accept that mentality. I don't accept it. Okay, I have the quote here. I think a lot of times we weren't seeing eye to eye on certain things. Now, that's kind of, very vague, kind of very vague. Last year, my first 3 or 4 games, I was barely playing. That's what I was noticing. I didn't think that made any sense. There were some games where I didn't even play the whole first half. I think people forget that too. It was a lot of different things. We had our disagreements from time to time. And then this article took the quote out, but pretty much they asked him, who did you disagree with? And he said the coaching staff in general. I remember that part. So pretty much didn't agree with that staff, which is interesting because he still has the same defensive backs coach. So I highly doubt he was talking about his defensive backs coach. Patrick Graham was about to come back. Could it have been Patrick Graham? Could it have been Joe Judge? I have no idea. But he says he's happy with the new staff, happy that they're doing, happy what they're doing with them, happy that they're communicating with them. And yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. He said another thing that was interesting, they're practicing a lot harder with Brian Dable because we thought that they were practicing hard all the time with Joe Judge. We thought that they were just running lap after lap after lap. He was making sure they got it down perfectly to a T. But it looks like they're practicing harder under Brian Dable, and it looks like Dable is also more of a player's coach. It looks like the players are having fun out there so far. You don't really see that. From what I heard, every single beat reporter, every single Giants insider that was at those practices, that was at those, training camp practices and scrimmages, there was kind of like an aura. There was kind of an aura of just, I don't want to mess up. And McKinney talks about this. He says every third and fourth down, we were scared to be the guy who made the mistake. We weren't worried about making plays. We were worried about being the guy that makes the mistake. And that is something that Giants fans have talked on and on and on and on and on about. Patrick Graham's defense always ended up being, a solid defense at the end of the year as far as stats, not so much last year actually, but they were pretty solid defense overall. But he constantly sat back and allow opponents to just dink and dunk their way down the field. I mean, I forgot what the completion percentage was against us, but there was a ton of games where quarterbacks were completing close to 70% of their passes against the Giants defense, which means they're pretty much very comfortable back there. They're working their way down the field and they're hoping that the offense makes a mistake before the defense makes a mistake. And do you know how likely it is for an offense in a league that wants the offense to score, where all the penalties are shifted towards benefiting the offense? Do you really think that more times than not, that offense is going to make a mistake before your defense does? Because all it takes is one guy on the defense to do something wrong, the offense can score a touchdown. So that's the shift this year. This defense is going to attack. This defense is coming to make plays. They're not coming to be the guy that, oh man, I made the mistake. So that's pretty shocking to me. Not the part about not being the guy that makes the mistake, but it's shocking to me that they're saying that they're practicing harder. Uh, he talks about how he didn't play that much last year at the beginning of the year, and that was something I noticed. It just seemed like there was a lot of weird behind the scenes kinds of things that you see in New England, which I hate to do it, because I still don't believe that the reason that Joe Judge didn't succeed was because he came from New England. I think there were a lot of other things. I don't think he was trying to be like Bill Belichick. But one thing that was similar to Bill Belichick is that he almost had this thing where people had to prove themselves, and they had to do things that maybe we didn't see. And I'm just talking about football wise, obviously. Maybe we didn't see that allowed them to get on the field. Like, a guy might be a playmaker, but you keep taking him off the field because he makes a mistake and he's a young player. So that's something I pretty much noticed. It seems like McKinney is stepping into that leadership role. He mentioned that he was a leader last year, even with Logan Ryan there. So that was encouraging to see that he's already had that leadership role pretty much locked down. But I think that McKinney can have a great year this year. I do think that I think he kind of, not to say threw them under the bus, but I think that frustration was targeted towards, first and foremost, Joe Judge, because his entire philosophy was don't make a mistake. He said we will not make mistakes in his press conference. And what happens with the law of attraction? Everybody here might not believe in the law of attraction, but one thing I'm sure we can all come to the agreement with is that when you're constantly focused on not making a mistake, you're very much more likely to make a mistake. If that's all you're worried about, if you go out and you're driving at 200 miles an hour and you see a pebble in the road and you're scared to hit that pebble and you tilt your wheel over this way, you're going to go flying. The car is going to flip over. You're going to crash. But if you're just out there driving and you're just focusing on driving, you'll probably stay on the road. So if he had that entire defense out there and the offense, including Daniel Jones, including Saquon Barkley, who stopped taking risks, stopped, trying to take things outside, stopped trying to make big plays, Kadarius Toney, who constantly tried to make big plays, but for some reason, at the beginning he wasn't played very much, and then there wasn't an effort to get this guy to football. So everybody on the team was walking around scared to make mistakes. And I'm just so glad that Brian Dable and Wink Martindale especially are saying go out there, play fast, play physical, don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you make a mistake, come back the next play, make up for it. This is what football is. You cannot win football games. You cannot go to the playoffs. You cannot be a respected team if you're scared of yourself. So that's what I took away from this McKinney interview. Just something kind of tiny that I kind of looked at as like, this is a reason why we probably will have a different mentality going into this year. And it's going to be fun to see this team take some shots down the field. It's going to be fun to see this team blitz off the edge. Maybe we give up touchdowns sometimes on the blitz, but maybe sometimes the blitz pays off. Go out there and not play scared. It's going to be fun to see this team go for two. It's going to be fun to see this team, go for it on fourth down. So you guys let me know what you're thinking about this McKinney interview and about the state of the team down in the comments. Have a great rest of your day. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.